Wow, what a wonderful performance by our marimba band. It gives me great pleasure and privilege to have a very warm welcome to our pupils, staff, and especially our old Westerfordians and the class of 1973. Just a few things to take note of before we start this prestigious event. Please do not use flash photography during the ceremony. We have our very own clip club that will take many photos and make it available to each and every one of you. The ceremony will be live streamed. You can get this on YouTube and it will also be saved as a recording. Please ensure that your cell phone is switched off and it does not disrupt the ceremony. Please make sure that you check your program regularly because there will be no announcements of the introduction of the new speaker. And then just a minor change on the program. The poem, Love Poem for My Country, will be read by Dr. Leslie Marks. Can we please be reminded to stand while we sing the school song and the national anthem? Can we please stand while the stage party enters? Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning and welcome. I'll do a formal welcome in a minute. We're going to commence our assembly by hearing the bell in the foyer being struck 7 times. One strike is to represent each decade. We are very happily celebrating our 70th birthday this year, our Platinum Jubilee. And so in silence we will listen to the bell ring 7 times. Today we recall with pride and gratitude the years since the founding of Westerford High School near this site in 1953. We welcome you to the service, welcome to our special guests, to the academic staff, the support staff, the ground staff, and old Westerfordians. The matric class of 1973 today celebrate their 50th reunion. We are indeed very honoured and privileged to have so many with us this morning. We have a large representation from the class of 1963. They celebrate their 60th reunion, and the class of 1961, I met many of you outside during the tea, are also celebrating a delayed COVID reunion. There are many other Westerfordians from a number of years, and you can see we are well over 100 this morning, so it's wonderful to have many of you that have travelled very far from various parts of the world to be with us this morning. And I think it is the record that we have somebody from 1959 who's made the trip from Tasmania. So that is an incredible journey, and welcome to, right on there, so welcome to all of you. And for some of you, it might be your first time back in assembly since you left. and I hope it brings, I see some nods, and I hope it brings back some wonderful memories, come flooding back, and you are most welcome to be with us this morning to enjoy our celebrations. Welcome to every pupil at the school, especially to those who are with us for the first time. Today we honour those who founded the school and whose foresight, vision and commitment served to lay so fine a foundation. Amongst their numbers were the founding headmaster and his wife, Noel and Muriel Taylor. And I'm going to just add in here Dr. Gibbon, one of the second headmaster, is with us today too. And Dr. Gibbon, fantastic to have you with us. So it's to read, it's wife Noel and Muriel Taylor, the first teachers, parents, school committee members, PTA members, ground staff, cleaners, and the pupils of 1953. In the intervening years, there have been many who, by virtue of that same vision and commitment, have continued to contribute to the school, to its glorious educational record, academic, cultural, social, sporting, and ethical stands, and to all for which it stood in its historic morn, and for which it still stands in the community today. In remembering our founders, we are equally mindful of those who are no longer with us. I would like to request that we observe a moment's silence in honour and respect of all Old Westerfordians who have passed away since our last Founders Day in 2022. Let's just remember those who have passed away for a short period.
Hello Westerford, it's wonderful to be here again. I'm Leslie Marks. I matriculated in 1973 with Michelle, who was, as you know from this morning's discussion, our head girl of that year. She very kindly invited me to read the beautiful Song of Hope, Love Poem for My Country, by the late and deeply mourned Sandile Dike. My country is for love. So say its valleys where ancient rivers flow the full circle of life, under the proud eye of birds adorning the sky. My country is for peace, so says the veldt, where reptiles caress its surface with elegant motions glittering in their pride. My country is for joy. So talk the mountains, with baboons hopping from boulder to boulder in the majestic delight of cliffs and peaks. My country is for health and wealth. See the blue of the sea, and beneath the jewels of fish. Deep under the bowels of soil, hear the golden voice of a miner's praise for my country. My country is for unity. Feel the millions, see their passion. Their hands are joined together. There is hope in their eyes. We shall celebrate. everyone, and welcome. I'm here to, on behalf of the entire school community, express appreciation for the school and all who work in it. We appreciate the opportunities that Westerford provides for each of us and for the rich heritage established by the generations that came before us, conscious though of the inequalities of our past history and the need to build an equitable society in South Africa. We acknowledge especially the vision of the founders of our school and the work and the example of all old Westerfordians. We commit to continue to work together for the good of our school and our country and for the happiness of all who work here. We will continue to support and defend the Constitution of South Africa. We will work to heal the divisions of our past and contribute towards an inclusive, non-racial, non-sexist society based on democratic values, environmental and social justice. And we will strive to build a united South Africa that takes up its rightful place in the family of nations. May God bless Africa. Kosisi sekelele Afrika. Kotsi in Africa. Thank you.
The history and the founding of Westerford. Westerford owes its origins to the growing need for secondary schooling in the southern suburbs in the 1950s. The school was opened on the 21st of January 1953 in temporary premises in Dean Street. During the second term of that year, the 29 members of the foundation class, amidst great excitement, carried their desks down Dean Street and into the Klein Westerford estate, where classrooms were fashioned in the old homestead. The site, one of the most beautiful in the country, consisted at that time of a large tract of vacant land with a rambling single-storied house and a dilapidated old coach house. The site is truly a historic one. In pre-colonial times, it was a wooded mountainside where wild animals roamed among the forest and fynbos. The nearby banks of the Leesbeek River offered water and grazing to Khoi pastoralists. The arrival of colonists brought great changes to the site, not all of which were beneficial to either the environment or the Khoi, but the site became firstly a productive farm and then a gracious homestead. Reminders of this past include the Westerford outspan in front of the school, where travelers outspanned their animals and allowed them to graze and drink before crossing the Leesbeek River at the ford at the bottom of Dean Street. When the present school buildings were constructed, great pains were taken to preserve the chestnut trees, which date back to the time of the first Dutch settlers and stand as symbols of the strength and character that is now associated with Westerford. The beauty of the site, with its magnificent view of Devil's Peak, inspired the design of the emblem and school colors. Mr. Noel Taylor, who served as principal from July 1953 until 1976, was a man of great vision who was fired with enthusiasm for Westerford. He, along with his wife and the other founders of Westerford, believed that the school would develop from these humble beginnings into a magnificent institution commanding respect far beyond the bounds of the Cape Peninsula. The staff and pupils who have followed the founders have endeavored to translate this belief into reality.
It's a great pleasure to be speaking to you yet again. And I want to pick up on one thread of the rich Westerford tapestry, which is being a little contrarian. So I want to raise 5 or so received wisdoms, which we have been instructed are things that we should follow, and I want to tell you that they're all false. And then we'll see if we can come in with some Westerford common sense after that. So here we go. Follow your passion. No, most people are not very passionate. Most people have keen interests and have things that they want to do, but they actually are not fired by great passion. If you know for sure you want to be a pilot or a proctologist, that is great. Then you can settle into your mission very early and go along. But for the rest of us, just having interests, just having things that keep us awake and alive, that's good and that's plenty. You can be anything you want to be. No, you can't. And if you haven't realized it now, you will soon realize it. I always wanted to be a Springbok rugby player. Okay? You would have thought that someone playing in the B team at Westerford, which is not, let's be frank, a powerhouse in rugby in the Western Cape, should have realized that that's not part of your destiny. But I only gave up on that at age 59 because the longest serving international retired playing for Saudi Arabia at age 58. So at 59 I came to terms with some of the hard factors about being mugged by reality. But guess what? There's still a lot of options out there. As Gary Player said, the more I practice, the luckier I get. And I think there's a lot in it. So have a think on that. Hard work is rewarded. I think you know where I'm going on this. No, not always, I'm afraid not. Sometimes you're going to find that vested interests and bad networks conspire against hard-working individuals and unfairly reward your slothful, undeserving family members, your friends, and your acquaintances. But if you show some true grit and perhaps change your strategies, what goes around comes around. You'll get your break. Stick at it. Money and wealth are your greatest assets. No, they're not. Actually, they help, as I mentioned earlier, my impoverished retirement or that lies ahead. They help and they give you options, but they're not everything. Your health is probably your greatest asset. It's your platform and launch pad for everything else. Better to invest in your health daily. You may have been given a tough health portfolio, then you're going to need to draw on your carrier to get through, but that's part of the program. I have the saddest news at all in the last statement I want to make. You will live forever. No, you won't. Social media is lying when they say that to you. In fact, we're told that no one comes out of your life, you're going to die. Everyone you know is going to die. Still, that shouldn't scare you. That's your license to seize the day, so you might as well embrace it. So that's all the negatives and perhaps the rejoinders that come out of those. But we have made a lot of progress in science and discovery, and there's the Harvard study which began in 1938. And they were tracking, as you'd expect, part of the themes from today, they were tracking 1,000 men as they were from Harvard at that time, but the study has expanded. It's now the longest longitudinal health and wellness study in the world. They are great-grandchildren of the original people that are there. And they have found the golden keys. I just thought I should mention them to you today. And this is the following. The surprising finding is that our relationships and how happy we are in our relationships has a powerful influence on our health. Taking care of your body is important, but tending to your relationships is a form of self-care too. That's the revelation. Close relationships, more than money or fame, are what keep people happy throughout their lives, the study revealed. Those ties protect people from life's discontents, help to delay mental and physical decline, and are even better predictors of long and happy lives than social class, IQ, and even, in fact, genes. That finding proved true across the board amongst both the Harvard men and all the other demographic layers that have been subsequently added on. But if relationships are important, then reunions must be important too, because this is about relationships. And hopefully even this coming together today will make us even more resilient and stronger and increase our sense of well-being for the future. That certainly is my wish, and for those people who have come from so many parts, and even locally, just to come together today and to reassemble as we are now doing. There is at least one other relationship that matters a lot. Some would say two. I just want to focus on one at the moment. And that is the planet Earth. The UK's former Astronomer Royal, the Cambridge cosmologist Sir Martin Rees, gives civilization but a 50-50 chance of surviving the 21st century. An estimate he reached after surveying all the ways humanity could destroy itself. I'm picking up on the thing that Roland mentioned just at the end of our little conversation earlier on. So, the greatest challenge for the class of 2023 and the Westerford generation of today is the same for every generation of young adults since human populations exploded with the beginning of industrialization about 150 years ago. And that is, how do we live in harmony with the biosphere, which we're assaulting so badly in every day and to our long-term perilous cost? Even the term climate change is too small a lens to capture what is meant by this totality of the assault on our own mothership. Just 2 days ago, Indian Premier Narendra Modi opened the G20 summit with the quite arresting plea of one Earth, one family, one future. And if I can just digress away from my script on that, as we look at the struggle which is ongoing at the moment in global politics between autocracy and democracy, India is going to make the difference. If India deepens its flawed democracy, the Ds are going to win out. If they go into something more authoritarian, we're going to have a different kind of century that lies ahead of us. It's also a bit of a shame, I feel, that here we are truly a centre of excellence, and Westerford has been that over all these 7 decades. And that some of the really big challenges we are distracted from because of the sheer levels of incompetence and corruption that exist and continue in South Africa today. It's actually a distracting challenge. We should not have to deal with this, and yet we do. On the brighter side, there are some stunning scientific changes and increases in knowledge that are coming through. From the artificial intelligence which will allow you to do all your essays in future, as you know, by merely plugging in, but through to what's going on in science, CRISPR technology. We've got the James Webb telescope now probing the far reaches of our own universe. We've got the star array that's going in Peru and in Australia in combination. There are fantastic frontiers that lie ahead. And we've got this twin challenge then of dealing with the forces that will drag us down and all these fantastic opportunities to reach ahead. And I can echo what Dennis Davis said earlier today. Just listening to the caliber of the people from your generation here, I think we're very well equipped to deal with the future. So what then is your sacred duty for the new generation coming through? I did ask you early on, it's a pity I can't actually show the good photograph of the individual concerned. But this generation's solemn duty in 50 years' time is to hand over a baton of a prosperous, succeeding world so that Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones can have a wonderful second century in playing his baton. So I hope that all works for you and that you remember that challenge as we leave today. Thank you.
When I first arrived in 2019 as a grade 8 fresh off the boat, I knew few people and spoke to even fewer. But those games that we all thought were so silly during orientation week actually introduced me to some of my longest lasting friendships, and I made my closest friends on grade 8 camp. Westerford has equipped me with an arsenal of invaluable skills that have left me waiting in eager anticipation for the future. Westerford's forte, our rigid academics, has taught me indispensable time management skills, and my teachers and educators over the years have encouraged creative thinking and quality study skills. Here, initiative and being proactive is rewarded and entrepreneurship is supported. It is these qualities that allow the school and I to start a pupil-run breakfast program, allowing me to cater for my peers. I know of countless schools that sacrifice these very qualities of support for the sake of outdated traditions. Westerford creates spaces for pupils to voice their thoughts and concerns, and, after much deliberation, acts on them, showing that they value the voice of the pupils. The lessons I have learned, whether in the classroom, on the sports field, or in the mind, are all ones I will cherish and revisit for the rest of my life. And although it has some ways to go, this school has done some truly incredible things in the name of prioritizing the pupils. And I trust this will continue long after we have all gone our separate ways.
Let your mind fast forward to 2073 and visualize the same scene. The difference, it will be one of my descendants standing here and possibly making a speech. This is the generational impact my attending Westerford has had on my family. I've been asked to share my experience at Westerford for the last 5 years, and having reflected on this, I want to highlight some of my most impactful moments. I've always been very proud of my culture. I come from a home where my parents ensured that this aspect was strengthened within me. For most of my life, I was surrounded by like-minded individuals embracing a culture similar to mine. There were so many nuances from how we were raised to how one speaks and behaves. This meant that my understanding of culture was one-dimensional and only a small part of a big perspective. At Westerford, I'm exposed to a diverse group of people with different cultural backgrounds and beliefs. In many ways, Westerford's culture has enhanced my compassion for people and has taught me the importance of how we see the world, how we see the community that we live in, and how we communicate with each other. While I appreciate and celebrate the diversity at our school, my one constant remains the Christian Union community. It is here where I found my confidence and belief in myself was strengthened, and I instinctively knew that this is where I can draw my strength from for my next set of goals. My goal has always been to be part of the leadership at Westerford. I'm very happy to say that this goal has been realized. I'm one of the leaders for the community portfolio at Westerford. I'm proud of this because it is true to my character. I believe that servant leadership is so vital in the role we play at school. It is this leadership style that Westerford embodies, I believe, that has set me up successfully, even while playing sport. Here at Westerford, one sport I'm totally passionate about is touch rugby. Now, touch rugby had to be reborn, and my teammates and I worked very hard to get that off the ground. In this way, Westerford has taught me that when you are passionate about something, you will stop at nothing to pursue that passion. In my matric year, it feels thrilling to run into the field in our new kit and represent Westerford. I'm a proud Westerfordian and have been generously blessed to attend this school, and I'm now able to pave the way for many generations to come. Thank you.
The Noel Missy Optimum Award is made annually to a Westerfordian who has excelled in their area of expertise and has made a significant contribution in that area, nationally and or internationally. It is my pleasure today to read the citation for the recipient of this year's award, Sir Bradley Freed. And we welcome Sir Bradley, who is with us here through the live streaming of our ceremony today. Bradley Freed attended Westerford from 1979 and was the school's head boy in his matric year 1983. He moved on to the University of Cape Town, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in commerce, awarded with distinction, and thereafter qualified as a chartered accountant. As a Palmer Scholar at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania in the United States, he studied for a master's degree in business administration, an MBA, and, as with his BCom degree, he passed with distinction. Bradley has served as a non-executive director of the Court of the Bank of England since June 2012 and served as chair of court from July 2018 to June 2022. It is widely acknowledged that in his position at the Bank of England, he played a vital advisory role in supporting and guiding United Kingdom financial and economic decision makers during the turbulent COVID-19 pandemic years. His knowledge and vast skill set proved invaluable. Importantly, Bradley has pioneered a major overhaul of the bank's approach to diversity and inclusivity, his efforts culminating in a landmark court report on ethnicity. This report will have far-reaching positive effects in the United Kingdom for many years to come. Not at all surprisingly, he was knighted in 2022 by the Queen for his outstanding public service over many years, but especially during the demanding COVID period, in and through his work at the Bank of England and beyond. Very recent news is that in February this year, he was appointed chair of Gold of all the life skills he learned here and the manner in which the school, under the leadership of the then principal, Dr. John Gibbon, moulded and inspired him. Sir Bradley Freed is indeed a most worthy recipient of the 2023 Westerford High School Mil Missy Optimum Award. Let's applaud him as he joins us today in the live stream. In November, we will be making the presentation to him in person when he visits Cape Town, and we now are going to be addressed by him.
Good morning, everybody. I'm recording this from my office in London, and I'm afraid that given the relatively short notice of this terrific honor, I was unable to move my calendar around and be with you in Cape Town. I'm really sorry about that, and I wish I was there right now. Now, Westerford has extraordinary memories for me, and whilst the school has transformed since I matriculated, I think that the fundamentals have remained very much the same. Westerford was also a place of the most hilarious experiences. I was explaining to my two sons the other day that in Standard 7 I took art. They were shocked because they couldn't understand how that was even possible given that I have no abilities at all for art. So I told them that the actual reason was that I was very keen to be in class with a girl over whom I developed a massive crush. The only overlap in our schedules was art. I didn't know what it's like now. But our teachers were very direct with us, and after a few lessons, my art teacher looked at me very sympathetically and said, "So sweetly," she said, "Bradley, you are very useless at the subject, and you have no talent at all. Don't you want to try woodwork?" I said, "No, miss, I have a passion." I certainly did have a passion, but it definitely was not for art. And so I stayed in that class. I failed art miserably, and I got absolutely nowhere on the other front either. But I suspect I learned some kind of a life lesson from the whole experience, although I still have no idea what that lesson was, and I suspect I'd do it all over again. In my matric year, in 1983, I contracted a ravaging tuberculosis. It was quite touch and go, actually, and my parents contacted Dr. John Gibbon, the then headmaster, after the critical care doctors suggested that it was not at all certain that I would make it through the days to come. Dr. Gibbon visited me immediately in the hospital, and he mobilized the school to pray for my return to good health. When I recovered and regained some strength, Dr. Gibbon wrote to me. He sent me a letter that has never left my side. He explained very beautifully and impactfully that I'd been given another chance at life, and that from then on, I should consider very seriously how to offer the best of myself in the service of others. That was the framework that he set out for me. And some 40 years later, this is still my greatest challenge, and it is most certainly a work in progress. Dr. Gibbon's letter and his constant reminder to try my best lives in my heart. Some days I succeed, and often, candidly, more often than not, I really fail quite spectacularly. But I shall keep trying. Never mind me, though. It is you who are important just now. And if this award is to mean anything seriously useful, it is that for each of you, it might be a moment to reflect on what it will mean for you to give of your best. For all you Westerford students must be wondering why some guy from the distant past is addressing you. But given that I am, I have a thought I'd like to share with you all. You see, I come from much the same place as each of you. My parents were the children of immigrants to South Africa who dedicated their lives to educate their children. And I have no doubt that each of you has or will face life's battles. You will need great reserves of tenacity and perseverance to achieve whatever your goals may be in this world. Have no doubt of that. But the starting point always is a values and belief system. And Westerford stands for something. It understands institution building. Westerford has always and continues to build deep foundations based on a belief system. And this school has embedded in its DNA what it means to have a community of people who care for one another and feel collectively responsible and accountable for the lives and outcomes of each individual in the Westerford community. My 5 years at Westerford taught me to have conviction and to lead. And to all of you, I say, find the space in which you can show leadership in your homes and your classrooms and your communities, and one day in your work lives, and most importantly, across society. As you see when you look around you and consider the state of the world, we are desperately short of values-driven leaders, desperately so. The situation globally is quite dire on that front. But if you think even for one moment that this is beyond your help and that you cannot change that, you are very, very wrong. You can. And I tell you today that it is not just a possibility for you, but it is your responsibility to do just that. Because with the privilege of a distinctive education, and that is what you are getting, comes the obligation to serve. That you come from the southern tip of Africa is a great advantage. You have seen life for all its joys and pain, and you live in a very unique society with a very tough, but ultimately inspirational history. Don't waste your opportunity to lead. That, given your background and education, would be a great loss. So thank you again, Headmaster. Thank you, Mark, for your kindness in giving me this award, which I dedicate in turn to the students and the endless possibilities offered them, in the same way that I dedicated my knighthood to Dr. Gibbon, who had introduced me all those years ago to public service. You can have no idea how grateful I am for all that the school has given me. I look forward to visiting in November. It is my class of 1983, 40th year matric reunion. It is hard to believe, given that I'm only 34, but I shall be there and I shall have to deal with this. But thank you to all of you, and I wish you ongoing strength. I look forward to meeting many of you when I'm at the school in November. Thank you and have a great Founders Day.
All Westerfordians who attended today, especially the class of 1973. We appreciate you making the time and efforts to travel in from various countries to rekindle friendships and join us in walking down memory lane in celebration of Westerford's 70th anniversary.
We would also like to give a massive thank you to Mr. Thompson for all of his hard work and dedication. The forum discussion was his idea, and he did a lot of behind-the-scenes work to make it the success it was. I'm pretty sure I can speak on behalf of everybody in this hall when I say that it was very educational and insightful. We hope this can become a new tradition for Founders Day in the years to come, and in 50 years' time, when it's our turn for tricks, we'll have the same amount of enthusiasm to come back and see where Westerford will be. So please, can we give Mr. Thompson a big round of applause? Please accept our gifts.
On behalf of all present, we promise to be loyal to Westerford, trying always to do nothing but our best.
Namens almal hier vergader, beloof ons om loyaal aan Westerford te bly en om ons allerbeste te gee.
Egameni labo bonke abakhoyo, siyathembisa ukuthembeka kwi-Westerford. Sizama ngalo lonke ixesha ukugqwesa.